And with that, I want to bring in Raul Torrez, Attorney General for the state of New Mexico. Thank you so much for making time to join us tonight. Attorney General, can you tell us a little bit more about the case unfolding in your state? Of course. What was the moment when you decided, I'm filing this suit?
Well, this really got underway when we initiated an undercover investigation to really test what the experience would be like for minors on the platform. And some of our investigators who work on criminal investigations created a decoy undercover account, and what they found was truly shocking. They were just inundated with solicitations for sex, requests for explicit and graphic material. And it's just one example of many to really highlight the way in which this is not a safe space for underage users or for teenagers. It's something that has been troubling for a very long time. And what is even more damaging is that this company has known about it for years and lied and misrepresented the nature of the product and the harm that it presents to young people.
I know it won't come as a shock to you, but Meta denies any wrongdoing here. In opening statements, they said, an attorney said, quote, Meta disclosed the risk to the public. It didn't deceive anyone. What's your response to that?
Well, listen, there's going to be a 7-week trial where we will be introducing lots of internal records, communications, and a real up to the moment sort of split screen view of what the company has been saying publicly to policymakers, to members of Congress, to teachers, to parents, to young people about the safety of that product. And we'll be contrasting that with the exact same time frame what safety engineers and safety specialists inside the company had to say. And I think it's going to be truly shocking. One of the things that is going to, I think, really blow the lid off this trial are going to be the revelations, not from outside investigators, but by whistleblowers inside the company itself.
As we mentioned earlier, this suit is one of many across the country. What are you hoping to accomplish with this specific standalone trial in New Mexico? What does a victory look like exactly?
Well, bottom line, we're trying to change the way Meta does business. We need fundamental changes to their business model, to their algorithm, verifiable age verification and protocols that won't endanger kids. You know, one of the things that came out in testimony yesterday is that the product is very good at connecting people with their interests. It also is very good at connecting people who have a sexual interest in children with children that are on the platform. That has to stop. So a victory for us is the creation of a standard of operation for real safety on these platforms and in these spaces. We can create a blueprint that will be effective at protecting people here in New Mexico, but potentially one that could be expanded to the entire country or even around the world.
And let's talk a little bit about that big picture approach here. Do you think the die has been cast, the genie let out of the bottle, Pandora's box opened here? At this point, is it possible to make sweeping changes to social media?
I think this trial, the first state-led action to take on Meta, is going to be a real turning point for holding big tech accountable. For a number of years, policymakers in D.C. have frankly been unable to pass meaningful legislation to correct this kind of behavior. This litigation, along with similar actions from around the country and all over the world, are really going to start to put pressure on these companies to re-examine and reevaluate how they do business. It's also going to start putting pressure on their business model. I mean, pretty soon, if we have the kind of outcome that I think we're going to have and a finding of liability on the part of the company, that's going to really put a lot of pressure on those folks who advertise on these spaces, the people who are using these channels to promote their products. They need to understand the financial implications of having their products next to images of child pornography or anyone who's engaged in activity that might, really be dangerous for kids.
Much more to come. Thank you so much for taking time to explain your insight here. Raul Torrez, Attorney General for New Mexico. Thanks so much.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.